going on, folks? I'm AutoMattock. Today we're going to talk about MvCi and Chris specifically, and some of the things I found from experimenting in the lab, and why he might not be as bad as people might perceive him to be. I think he has potential to do things that are quite interesting, and I first want to start off with the shoulder tackle. This is a new move in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It was not in Marvel 3. This move is from the prone position, and you can already see that I'm avoiding the beam projectile from the prone position itself, where I can also shoot fireballs, which is really just the handgun bullets. But the shoulder tackle is invincible, not immediately on startup, but there's a huge chunk, it seems, where you are not able to be hit at all. Now, as long as your move is in range, you're going to punish things like beams, and you're going to cause a wall bounce when this hits. Now, also keep in mind, this move is safe on block as far as I've tested it, and it causes a wall bounce. What I suggest doing after this, you can slide, but in some situations the wall bounce won't let you be in range. So one of the more consistent things to do is to super off of it, or to tag in your opponent. So the tackle itself being invincible, I think that is an excellent tool. You can also level 3 off of the wall bounce. So yeah, I think this is very interesting to have for him to have. He's got to find the ranges for it, and it seems like a really interesting mechanic. And then once you do this, since you haven't consumed your ground OTG, this level 2 super will also allow you to come off the ground and combo into something like grenades. And then there's definitely going to be lots of creative opportunities in all those scenarios. And as I mentioned earlier, you can just tag cancel all of it to make sure how to hit, and then you can do whatever it is that your teammate does when they get a ground bounce that's caused by their tag cancel. So that's shoulder tackle. Since we're on the subject of invincibility, I also want to talk about supers. Now, the grenade launch super, it's not invincible on startup, but it can work in some situations, such as this. Specifically Ultron, the grenade will go in between the projectile. Let's see if I can emulate this. Hopefully I don't have to do this multiple times. There you go. You can see I get hit by his projectile, but my grenade squeezes in between. Now, if I activate my super, you can notice there's a phase before the animation, the screen freeze happens. During that, with the grenade super, I'm not invincible. So I can actually be interrupted, and I will not even consume the bar, which is interesting as well. But if I do it too late, you can see I can start it, but I'm not able to actually get the super out. He starts. It looks as if he's starting to bring the grenade launcher out. But I do not have invincibility. However, I was wondering what the other super was for. This super here, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I tried to just do it in a situation like this. This super has invincibility before that startup animation, before the freeze animation. So as you can see, I'm starting it, I avoid the beam super, and then I'm not able to be hit because I'm invincible. Now, this isn't practical in this specific situation, but it demonstrates the ability to use it as an invincible move. Now, for that, I'm not sure where you can apply it or the exact reasons. Perhaps when your opponent tag cancels. I did notice that if they tag cancel and you super them with this super for Chris, you will continue to hit their outgoing character. But when you're damaging an outgoing character, they take less damage. It seems about approximately 50% less damage when you're hitting an outgoing character. So yeah, you have 2 invincible moves, and the level 3 is invincible as well. I can demonstrate the invincible power. You see, I totally avoid the hit, and I probably can punish in this way too, as long as my super activates at the right time. And I'm assuming they're not able to block at this point, and then again, you can OTG off of this. They're on the ground for a long time. You have a huge opportunity, and of course, you can tag cancel off of your level 3 if you're not sure how to do a combo with Chris. You just tag cancel here, and then do something with Rocket, or whoever your teammate is. So, invincible shoulder, invincible knife super, whatever it's called, and the invincible level 3 super. So I think that's very interesting that Chris has those mechanics. So, the other issue, well, I guess I shouldn't describe it as an issue at first. I just want to talk about Chris in terms of the zoning sense. Now, the short hop, which is performed by doing down up and then doing down again. If you use this with Chris, it becomes a little bit reminiscent of his Marvel 3 capabilities, where you can use a shotgun offensively, and you had tons of frame advantage. And you have the same idea here. And let me see if I can demonstrate it. It is difficult to do, but yeah. You short hop and then throw out your projectiles. Now, as you can see, when the opponent is... I don't want to say just frame timing, because I don't know how to quite describe the timing involved for reflecting projectiles, but they can reflect back a lot of your projectiles, such as shotgun, submachine gun can be reflected, regular hard kick handgun bullets, they'll get reflected. but there are ways to get around this, and some of those include the short hop. But first, I want to just show you that if you do it at the right space, it won't actually reflect back. And I'm not sure how practical this is, because you're really going to have to pay attention to the space and that kind of thing. And the same thing with the down shot. And yes, these are reflectable. But if you combine the short hop with the backwards to back short hop with this, it doesn't matter that they're reflecting it back to you, because it just doesn't hit you at the right angle. So that means if you're defensively zoning with short hop jump back, it's going to cause your opponent to deal with it. They're going to have to block it, and if they reflect it, it doesn't punish you, it doesn't matter. Now you can also cancel this move into a Magnum. The Magnum itself cannot be reflected. This is a move that I think will be also critical to the success of Chris, because of the way this, the amount of damage involved, and then it causes a wall bounce. So you're going to be able to do some interesting things off of that. And by default, if you're not sure what to do off of a wall bounce, or if you're unsure of the situation, whether it be the tackle or the Magnum or whatever else causes a wall bounce, if you're not sure how it's going to behave, you can be sure that if you tag cancel off of it, your incoming character will be right next to them, which is the problem, which is typically the problem here. If you do a Magnum, I think the most difficulty I had was if you were, if your opponent was close to you and far away from the wall. It was hard to follow up with this. Yeah, that may be one of the situations where you just might want to tag cancel in your teammate, and even then, it's probably good to tag cancel your teammate anyways, because you get different. If Chris is low on health, or excuse me, if he has red health, he's able to recover it. You might be able to extend your combo. You might be able to do more interesting things. More creative opportunities can present themselves. So the projectiles, I think it'll be very important to use this short hop with Chris, and being able to execute this will be quite challenging. But I think it'll be very rewarding just the same. And in fact, I think if you are using this offensively with a Magnum, you can also combo because you're jumping towards them, and therefore you'll be closer to the ground bounce that happens. So let's just see what happens here. I'm pretty sure you can do stun rod here if you can get the angle correct. Let me see. Gotta reload. Let me just prove that it's actually something you can hit. There we go. So yeah, there is a ground bounce opportunity there. And after that, you might want to do something like stun rod, hard punch, and then launch again. Something like that. It all depends on the situation and what is to be determined, what really is the optimal combos, right? But that's where it's going to start. Once you identify that you have a ground bounce and why it's hitting. It's a very important concept in fighting games to just understand why you're hitting your opponent. So we've talked about invincible moves and projectiles, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things too. Just a fun fact: if somebody throws a reality stone and you shotgun the reality stone, the shotgun will nullify the reality stone and then punish them while they're recovering from throwing up the reality stone. That's going to be really cool. Why not demonstrate that? I can show you that real quick. Why not, right? So I need to record reality stone, and that's it. Okay, so he does the reality stone. I always get kind of confused here. Okay, so play reality stone. Okay, if he does that, I can shotgun him. It'll go through the reality stone because it seems like I have a diverse spread of durability on the shotgun. If I do the Magnum, they nullify each other. So the Magnum's good, but it won't work in this situation. Shotgun seems to work better. So yeah, that's a general idea of how projectiles, just a way to get the creativity going. What else do we have here? I also want to discuss this slide move. It seems like it's really, really important. Also a new, I guess you could say, function of Chris in this game. He didn't have it in Mobile 3. It is a low-hitting move, and you can launch off of this, and you can also do combination punch. There may be some more things you can do off of it as well. Super seems a bit obvious too, maybe if I do it a little bit earlier. But it does put them in a juggle state, and it doesn't consume your OTG as well. So what that means, if I do a ground bounce here, I'm able to hit them again from this position. As long as I time this combo right. And dash up, bada bing, bada boom. Not quite. There we go. Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, that works. So if I slide, it doesn't work. Okay, one more try, and then I'll move on. There we go. There we go. So yeah, it does not consume your OTG. But I think the slide is very important. So I should also talk about consistently hitting that slide, because as you can see, I was having trouble with it, and I still know how to execute it pretty consistently. So the key to doing this, and just to briefly go over the air combo, the initial air combo that I'm using first, it is jab, down jab, and then 2 kicks, right? No, 1 kick, and then hard punch, and then the spike. So we got jab, low jab, kick, and then the spike. Now, way that you execute this, I think, aids in the way how close you are to when you land. So if you do it too fast, they'll be further away than you need them to be. So you want to spread it out. I think this is how you can do it consistently. You want to spread it out and do the spike late as possible. Well, maybe not late as possible. And then when you land, you dash and then do the slide. I feel like that's the most consistent way to continue this combo. Go! There we go. And I think on the secondary aerial rave combo, you will do something different, because at that point you're not as concerned about front loading the more damaging portions of your combo. At least that's my theory at the moment. There we go. And now you want to do it faster on the second portion, but you may also want to just tag your partner to complete the combo. So that's some of the ways I think the slide is going to be important. I also want to talk about that down light punch briefly. Now this move, in combination with short hop, you might find some interesting things with it because it can cross up your opponent. It's difficult to do. It's not an automatic give me, you know, it's not something that it's readily available to you. You might have to find like a reset or knockdown situation, but this move can in fact cross up. But I just don't feel like this is going to be like a strong point of Chris, but it definitely can cross your opponent up. I was experimenting with using a normal and then using the elbow, but you have to like really judge the way that you're short hopping, and then your elbow can come out later. I think I need to use the light punch actually. There we go. So theoretically, you can cover an angle that's in front of you while you're in the air, and if they stay on the ground, you can come down with the elbow. This is a concept that I learned from Guilty Gear. And it seems like it could apply here as long as you do your short jump if you execute it correctly, if you find the right situation, and I feel like that's enough about the elbow. It does a little bit more damage as well than the other air normals, right? So the jab or the light punch will do 300 and the elbow will do 500. And that's the reason why I'm including it in the beginning portions of this air combo. I don't do it first because it doesn't seem like I can continue the combo if I do it that way. So that's the elbow drop. I talked about the invincible supers. I think I covered everything that I wanted to. Give me a quick second. We can talk about Tat Cancels too. This will be the last thing I do for this video. So Tat Cancels are, as far as using Chris, they seem a little bit obvious. You just kind of, you know, projectile and then you have your opponent come in, or your teammate come in. So projectile Tat Cancel seems pretty good. I think it'll also be worth investigating. This is kind of why I played this team in the first place, to just have a bunch of stuff on the ground and then see what I can do from there. And then because Rocket Raccoon has traps just the same, it might allow me to build my traps with Chris, and then I can cascade it into more zone capabilities. Combine the short hops and the... Yep. I think it'll be really fun to... I mean, I've had a blast playing this game. Even just... I've played maybe 5 or 6 matches in casual mode, and I can just see the network feels... I mean, I don't want to make this an opinion video, but so far, this game has been really fun to play. Everything... politics aside, I have been enjoying this game quite a great deal. Oh yeah, so to sum it up, we went over short hop bullet, Magnum cannot be reflected. We went over some strategies and how you can use work around the reflection, and how you can use your projectiles in different situations. Slide is important, very important tool to have. Shoulder tackle is invincible. This super is invincible. The level 3 super is also invincible. And oh, one last thing is this low hard kick is a low hitting move. So if your opponent is standing, you put it on, what's this, mid and high. They cannot block. They have to block low for this, and then off of this you can slide, and that will combo. I think that's going to be interesting. I'm not quite sure. The one thing that does concern me about Chris is the ability to like mix up your opponent. That's where I feel like he's weakest, but that's where Marvel is strongest, and that could be a contributing factor to maybe later down the road if we evaluate if Chris is not that good. But yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna keep going if I don't stop at some point. That's it for now. I hope you learned something. Like and subscribe if you enjoy, if you want to, I suppose. I'm AutoMattock.